Welcome to the MSDW podcast. I'm Jason Gumpert, editor at msdynamicsworld.com. On this episode, we are talking about Dynamics 365 project operations, Power Platform, and more with my guest, Priyesh Wagh. Priyesh is a first-year Microsoft MVP and a consultant with CloudFronts Technologies. He also has his own blog, D365 Demystified, and he's written on MSDW. Priyesh tells us about some of the technology he has been focused on lately, including the transition from project service automation to Dynamics 365 project operations, which can be a little confusing in terms of the roadmap and which capabilities belong in exactly which product. We also discuss his views on the future of customization and how Power Platform is impacting the nature of this work for Dynamics 365 customers. We also talk about some of Priyesh's community involvement, some of the presentations he's done recently, some of the things he's writing about, speaking about, and what he's really looking forward to next. All right. Hi, Priyesh. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining me today.
Hi, Jason. Good morning to you, first of all, and thank you for having me on the show. It's really lovely to be here.
Yeah, pleasure to have you. And it's been really nice having a chance to work with you a bit, work with you on some, having you write for us and read all the other writing and work that you're doing in the community right now. You certainly find yourself, as it appears to me, at a very active and interesting juncture in the Microsoft Business Application space. You focus on Dynamics 365 project operations and sales. You also have been really diving into Power Platform. Maybe we could start by you just talking a little bit about what kind of work you do and some of those interests that are top of mind for you right now.
Sure, absolutely. So starting, I'll talk a little about how I started my career. So I started on CRM 2013 online. I've been working with CloudFronts since 2014. And that's how I started with the CRM online. I didn't work much on on-premise, but as CRM grew over the years, and as Power Platform came into picture, as Power Automate came into picture, and how field service, project service automation, and all these, suites started to, get its own shape, things started moving in more product-based or application-based scenarios. Core Dynamics CRM always remained the same, and since I was early on, with Core Dynamics, I started to understand the fundamentals, properly, and to how to architect solutions for our customers in the past. That initial couple of years really helped understand how Dynamics CRM was built. That kind of paved the way for the way I think of solutions today. Think of how to cater a certain problem and come up with the best approach with all the best practices in mind. So today things are kind of equally divided between a few canvas apps, Power Automate, which is replacing workflows inside CRM. So everything is now Power Automate because it talks to all these other connectors. Then core project service automation. I've been recently working with project service automation, those kind of projects since last 2 to 3 years, and now that project operations is coming up, things are moving in that direction as well. So that's that. And since I was working in core CRM initially, I started with a lot of work on plugins and JavaScript and some custom integrations, which which needed me to build some third-party applications. So that's how it's been, and today it's kind of everything today. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing I wonder is, with all these different areas that you're paying attention to and working on, do you find that customers overlap between their needs, or do you tend to? Is it more siloed? Do you work on one technology with one client and another in another business scenario?
I believe most of them overlap in terms of their requirement of the technology, but not necessarily in terms of how each independent client perceives Dynamics. So, I can be working on 3 different customers on PSA, but all these 3 customers could be having a different perception of project service. So, they would be using project service in the organic way, plus whatever they need, whatever best suits them according to their needs. So things get in a little different direction, but at the same time keeping the core project service automation as the backbone of things, and then having different applications talk to project PSA. Same in terms of sales as well. Basically, all the customers I've worked with so far, they use core sales, but as their tailored needs suggest, things we supposed to add more and more customization. So yeah, it's ranging from doing simple things to doing some really complex things as well. So yeah, I would say like 40% of the time or 40% of the tasks do overlap. Yeah, in terms of technology, but viewpoint and perception, it's still different between customers.
Yeah. Do customers expect that you're going to be able to customize, tailor, integrate as easily as ever? Or, I mean, that's always been something that customers, clients of enterprise software have always asked for. They've always asked for customization and tailoring things to their need, to their liking, even if it's not exactly, even if it could be done other ways. Has that changed at all in how you handle it with today's tools?
Yes, it has definitely changed because as customers tend to ask for all the obvious things. Previously, everything you needed to write a plugin, you needed to write a JavaScript, or you needed to go a lengthy route to get things done. But today, with Power Automate, you've kind of suppressed the need to use plugins or code or custom code all the time. Some heavy duty tasks or some moderate level tasks are handled by Power Automate, which is much faster. It's very reliable as well, and it's easy to visualize how we're building solutions for them. So that has changed over the course of last 3 years, I would say. So up until like 2016, when Power Automate was young, and everyone was starting to identify and leverage the power of the platform itself. That's when we started to pick it up. But yeah, now I think that 2019 onwards is the year where we try to translate every single thing into a flow instead of the traditional workflow. So things have changed on that front. Yeah, definitely.
And in terms of, you mentioned, I think that many customers might be using the same Microsoft product, but in different ways.
Right.
Does that? I can
Right.
certainly see that with project operations, given what I've seen of the
Yeah.
range of capabilities. You've written about some of
Right.
them.
Mhm.
Other people have, and I know with the release waves, there's always more features.
Yeah.
Is that true that companies are maybe using the same product, but you're deploying them very differently for them?
Yes, absolutely. That is the case. Though initially we deploy the project service automation because till now that's what is being deployed. Project operations is coming up, but we deploy the
Right, and
course.
for just to,
Yeah,
for our listeners, for anyone who deployed it before, what, a year ago, it would be project service automation
yeah,
still.
yeah. Right, right. So deploying project service automation, we deploy the core solution, but not all the customers would need every single aspect of it, right from sales to time and billing. Some of them might just use it for the scheduling part, or some might just use it for the invoicing part, or some might use it in bits and pieces, like just handling projects and tasks, maybe not even allocating at times. But then eventually, the way we interact, we got customers to use features because it does take time to adopt the system a little bit, and then on there's a very high dependability on the platform itself. So yeah.
All right. Do you ever get surprised by the kinds of organizations that find uses for project service capabilities? You mentioned how different organizations will start with different parts of the product. Certainly, there are certain industries where it's obvious that they could benefit from it, but does it? Do you see? I don't know. Do you see interesting outliers, or is it pretty consistent?
um, Surprisingly interesting in a very good way. With all these real life problems that customers come up with, it's really challenging to be able to translate that into a solution. Very interesting, at the same time as well, and that kind of keeps us all on our keeps us pushing to explore more and more and try to offer better solution, which is perhaps done in less time, or is watertight, and you don't fall through some issues. So it's really interesting, since it's not repetitive at any point of time. And that's why, in a good way, it's surprising that customers are coming up with really innovative ways to use them, and hence coming back to us with asking for if this can be done, or what's the best way to do this. And then us modeling how it should be is kind of an interesting process in itself. So that is something I always look forward to day in day out. And new challenges keep coming in, and it gets interesting and it gets better every time.
Yeah, for sure. That was always my favorite part when I used to
Yeah.
do consulting type of projects in the
Right.
way back in the past. But just the variation in
Right.
needs. Any
Hmm.
particular examples of particular industry needs or particular scenarios that you've enjoyed recently, or that were particularly, I don't know, challenging or
Mm,
educational?
uh, yeah. So most of the time, or I wouldn't say most of the time, but given heavy weightage, schedule board was something that most customers were keen on. Getting it right, the way we schedule things, and way we change the information on the cards that are displayed on the day views and on the week views. So it got us to think around those topics a lot in recent times, maybe in the last couple of years. And I realized schedule board is a really powerful tool that everyone uses, whoever is scheduling, because that's the obvious way to schedule. And getting that right for the customers is a key, since it's a very important visual cue itself. So a lot of work around schedule board, and trying to make it as optimized or as correct as possible.
And is
Yeah.
that part of like the universal resource scheduling platform? Is that what powers that?
Yeah. Yes. Correct.
Which
So
also kind of
so
feeds into field service, or
field
it's used
service.
by that as well, right?
Yeah, so it's a little different from that. It's an extension to that, but this is the core of scheduling. So the schedule board that is used inside product service automation and field service, it's kind of the same. Even if you have deployed both the things, you get the same schedule board, and you can schedule work orders, and you can schedule projects as well. So trying to, so previously, there was no project or task that you could schedule. So we then later on, in I think PSA v2 was the ability to enable an entity to schedule, but there was still some customizations needed, or some changes needed from our end to get it right. But this again depends on customer to customer as to coming down to what they really need. But again, having all these facilities, and on top of that, trying to add our expertise to make it right for all the clients is what really makes it useful and interesting.
Yeah, and I just mentioned it because it's one of those areas where it seems like Microsoft's pushing very hard to
Yes.
continue to advance that engine for use in various places. It's a little hard
Right.
for me to keep up
Yes.
with it because it's a lot of it's very very
Yes.
specialized. It seems very specialized.
Yeah, there are a lot of in plain language, there are a lot of buttons to push in the schedule board. So I haven't
Okay.
explored. I'll be honest, I haven't explored everything of it yet. But yeah, there's good amount of time that goes into finding what's new and exciting.
So yeah, I mean, you touched on something, and you wrote an article for us recently. We'll link to it here, obviously, if anyone's listening that hasn't read it yet. It was about a month ago,
Hmm.
and it was about Project Buckets, which wasn't
Right.
even, it's not brand new, but it's still quite new, and something that I think you wrote about it because I'm guessing many companies haven't started using it yet.
Yeah, it's exclusive to Project Operations now,
Right.
since Project Operations just came out in October, and this is the first edition of Project Operations itself. So Project Buckets is something introduced for the first time in
Okay.
Project Operations. Yeah, so it's kind of a mix of, if you think from Dynamics angle, it's kind of moving your project tasks through a business process flow, meaning in different stages, and a combination of using that in a Kanban style. Um, so like you have your sales process, moving through business process or different stages, here your task move through different stages of the bucket. So, and you
Mm.
can even group group them internally. So yeah, exactly what I've mentioned in the article. Yeah.
Yeah. I hadn't heard of that feature either when I saw it, and the fact that it was called buckets, it made me think that it came
Yeah.
from industry and that some product management team member had sort of tried to reflect what customers are asking for or how they're used to working.
Right. Yeah. Right. In a way, it does behave like
This has kind of
a
that.
Scrum
It
board.
has one of
Yeah.
those sort of colloquial names of something that sounds
Yes.
like
More
a
relatable.
traditional name.
Yeah. More relatable, and just like how you have Scrum boards in DevOps.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
a variation of that. Yeah. Which is
yeah.
light on a bigger scale.
Um, and it just, I mean, the other thing it just signaled to me was this is an area where I guess I knew this a little bit, but
Right.
project scheduling and resource management these are areas where people have had expertise for years, decades at this point, and so
Right.
Microsoft seems like they're really trying to push into this space with something that's relevant.
Right.
And it's probably a pretty mature. There's probably lots of very mature software that already does. I
Yes.
mean, there's
Yeah.
Microsoft Project, but I'm sure there's
Yeah.
others. I don't know well, but
Yeah.
other solutions out there.
Right. Yes. So definitely that area, and with all the new features of late, project operations, I think um, it's gonna do really well because of all the features that customers have asked for. Project operations will kind of bring it out in upcoming releases. So we all are in a process of kind of getting around that. So it's project service automation plus new features and better optimized way. So that's project operations. Yeah.
Yeah, there's certain areas where everything hasn't been delivered yet. I mean, there's sort of
Yeah.
the vision from Microsoft, and they're still working to release things, right?
Right. Yeah.
Is a lot of that related to features and I guess I don't know the right term, modules that had classically or traditionally been sort of housed under the AX or the F&O product areas?
Yeah. So how project operations today is released is there are two versions. One is the full deployment, meaning it integrates with FNO, and the way to integrate with FNO is using dual write maps
Mm-hmm.
between the two systems. I believe that scenario is useful when you have an end-to-end deployment on a large scale, like a large customer, from medium to large customers who who want FNO for all the complex tasks, and they also want to use project operations. So that is the right scenario where large organizations kind of use both these projects, and where the other version is the project operations Lite. They call it as PO Lite or project operations Lite, which handles up until pro forma invoicing, meaning it's part of the customer engagement itself, meaning it resides inside CRM itself. It doesn't go out to extend and connect to FNO. And up until a pro forma invoice is where you can create in a project operations Lite version. Because and I think ideally some customers also tend to use QuickBooks a lot, so there is always a chance to integrate um, your invoices to QuickBooks, because QuickBooks handles taxation, use taxation well than project operations itself. So yeah, mix and match of these systems is perhaps the right way to deploy it for a customer. So project
Mm.
operations work for customers who are small and medium sized.
That's interesting. I'm going to have to look back at Microsoft and maybe try to get some kind of an update from the product team on exactly how that vision is going to evolve. My sense is that that's going to change, but I'm not asking you to confirm or deny anything. But my sense is that or what I thought I had heard in the past was that more and more of that those capabilities in F&O will become native to project operations, and over time it won't be dual write. It'll be a sort of a more unified system. But again, well,
Yeah,
maybe you need to get
yeah,
Microsoft's comment on that
might
one.
might come down in time. Yeah, that's absolutely right. It might come
Okay.
down in time. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the reasons I didn't really want to put you on the spot on that is because I know you're an MVP, and maybe there are things that you, you hear as just the nature of being an MVP that the rest of us don't always hear.
Yeah.
But it's only been this is still your first year, right? Of having that MVP title.
Yes, it's been, I think, not more than 6 7 months. So I was awarded on 1st of September.
Oh, okay, pretty recently still.
Yes,
That's
I'm the
great.
newest kid on the block, if you may call it
and
that way. Yeah.
and so far so good.
Oh yes, it's been a phenomenal experience. It's everyone in the MVP community is so warm. There's so much to learn. There's so much to learn. Being awarded as an MVP has kind of opened floodgates to a huge base of knowledge and experiences which people or existing MVPs share, and it really helped me amplify the kind of content I keep on posting and trying to reach out to more people, because that's how I started. I
Right.
tried to answer more on the Dynamics community, and with that, I realized that answering to questions on the community is the right way to even learn yourself, because uh, you'd never end up getting more of the product, getting more out of the product, just by working. Once you try to solve problems which other people have posted, you understand how the world is using Dynamics and in what way they look. So it's kind of it feeds both way.
Okay. And I was just thinking the this will be your the maybe it just happened or it's about to happen, the MVP summit for this year, which I know is sort of a very closed event. So
Yes,
did
just
it
the
already happen or is it starting this week?
no, it's the end of this week. I think it's 29th,
Oh, okay.
and
So
it's
end of
a
March.
and it's a
Okay.
3 day, yeah, it's a 3 day virtual event. Unfortunately, none of us are able
Yeah.
to travel in this situation.
That's one of those.
Hopefully that's
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. But I think in any event, it's one of those events. It's it's always been around since I've been in this space, and it's the one that I always
right.
wished I could have. I always wished I could have attended. I think that most people feel that way. That if you can't be there, you wish you
Yeah,
could be there. So that's
right,
great that you
right.
get
It's a
to
most
to
yeah,
experience that
it's
for
a
the
most talked about event, and
right,
it's
right.
really exciting that everyone aspires to be in. Yeah, it's a dream event.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It
Um,
is.
all right. What else? I mean, what do you see? What do you see yourself diving into next in terms of uh, areas of this stack, or maybe more broadly that you want to learn about?
Right. So, just in recent few months, I've been exploring adaptive cards along with Power Platform. Um, Power Virtual Agents is something that I haven't worked on much, but that is something also that I'm planning to, learn and see where I can put it. But I found adaptive cards really, really interesting. They're so powerful and yet easy to develop and get it running. And the fact that you can put them in a flow and send it across to Teams or to Outlook. I think it's a really powerful tool that we can use even for project operations in place, or field service for that matter, or sales. You can leverage power. You can leverage adaptive cards to get your message through. I also did a recent session in the Scottish Summit on using adaptive cards and as a custom approval process um, with fellow MVP Lynn um, from New Zealand, and while working on that, I realized that there are you know a lot of possibilities you can use in your organization itself to get things done. Um, Everything from passing on a simple message to getting an entire approval process implemented within that. So that is something that it really is interesting me to deep dive into, along with Flow and Canvas apps. We'll be coming up with some good posts on Power Canvas apps in the recent future, and that is something I'm really looking forward to explore.
And when you talk about adaptive cards, my understanding is that you can sort of assemble them once, and then they can be shown in the right sort of form factor in
Yeah,
different environment, in different sort of
right.
applications, right?
Right. So the power the adaptive cards designer itself first lets us select what application you will be sending using this into. So let's say you have selected Teams. So it takes the shape and form of Teams, of how native Teams messages and the whole skin thing will look, and then you build your card in adaptive cards IO, and then you take that code and maybe put into Teams. You can also directly create an adaptive card from a Teams flow itself in the Teams connector, and you can kind of save your progress there itself. So yeah, if you're using it for Outlook, then it will appear like an email. So the way it looks and feels, it takes the shape and form of the host application that it's gonna end up being in. Yep, you're right. That's right.
All right, interesting. Yeah, that's a great topic for the future as well. All right,
Yeah.
anything else you wanted to make sure we kind of hit on here before we start to wrap up? Were there other presentations you have coming up, other events, other plans?
I'm looking to do yeah, virtual sessions, of course. Looking to do virtual sessions in coming months. Uh, I don't have anything planned right away for April, but I see myself doing quite a few sessions from, maybe it could be as soon as late in April, and then on. So
Yeah.
usually, you could see if um, all these things come, I kind of announce on LinkedIn. So you might very well see it on LinkedIn. So usually any session that I plan to do is within 15 to 20 days or a month from that time. So yeah, looking to do a lot of virtual sessions this year, and trying to explore what all areas I can continue contributing and amplifying.
Yeah, great. I'll have to go back. I took a note that you did that Scottish Summit presentation. I missed that one.
Yeah.
I had a lot of trouble sort of catching all of Scottish Summit. I think I showed up on the last day because I somehow
I see.
didn't have the dates right or something. But yeah, we'll put a link into that if we can find it
Yes,
and reference
it
that.
was
That sounds like a
lovely.
really interesting topic.
Yeah, it was superb. It was superb, and whenever you can reach out to me and ask me for links if anything that's missed. I might have it and I can just pass it on.
All right, excellent. And how are things? You're in Mumbai, right?
I'm in Mumbai.
Yeah.
Yes.
How are things there right now?
Things here, in terms of the pandemic, it's peaking a little this month, in March. Up until January end or till mid Feb, we saw a big drop, and things were really improving. But then I believe, like everywhere, it's the second wave, and hopefully, realistically, I think this would be around for another 1 to 2 months before it starts to go down again. Vaccinations have started. They're rapidly vaccinating all the priority based citizens first. Um, Looking forward to, for it to start, being available even more widely. And I think that is something I can foresee in the next 6 to 8 months, I believe. Yeah. So we are going into summer now, so it will be difficult to anyway, for people to also move around. So kind of people must have made plans for the next 6 8 months, and are ready to get themselves vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
But things are good. Mumbai has been good. Mumbai is as busy as it ever has been, and it will continue to be like that. But yeah, this is, I think, though it's a little distressed time given the pandemic, but yeah, yet an exciting time to be in the world of technology and Microsoft technology ecosystem altogether.
Yeah, it's a funny contrast, isn't it? Because I hear that often how everyone's having depending on where they are and their situation can be difficult, but so much happening at the same time in this
Right,
space. Yeah.
right. So it definitely looks exciting. I think this year we're gonna see a lot of colorful applications um, coming out. All of them exciting to use, and more and more people adapting Microsoft technologies. So that is definitely you know um, a great thing to see and anticipate for.
Excellent. Well, it's been great chatting with you here. Thank you so much for taking the time to do it. I'll be on the lookout for everything you're writing on your blog, perhaps other places, other presentations as well. Really appreciate you doing it and for taking the time today.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you. It was lovely talking to you. And I hope to talk to you soon sometime.
This has been another episode of the MSDW podcast. My thanks once again to Priyesh Wagh for joining me today. If you want to follow Priyesh, you can find him on social media. You can also find him on his blog, d365demystified.com, where he is posting a variety of really useful articles. We'll post more links in the description to today's session. If you want to get in touch with me, you can reach out by email, jgumpert@msdynamicsworld.com. You can also follow us on Twitter and on LinkedIn. Until next time, this is MS Dynamics World, signing off.